Yes, we're recording. Welcome, everybody, listeners out there, to the Jungle Brothers podcast, JB Cast number 22. You're here today with myself, Paul Fotophili, Joe Worthington, say hello,
Hi, guys.
and Tiora Ward,
Hello.
the big three.
Yay, back in action. It's been a while.
Has been. Today, we're getting together to talk about...
How to be a beast over the holidays. The 5 simple rules. How to mitigate the damages over the Christmas period, huh?
Yeah, it's a bit of a trap, Christmas, when it comes to Christmas and training, making gains.
Yeah.
Yep.
We see it a lot as gym owners too, right? That you get that same dialogue from a lot of people. They come back after Christmas. You don't see them till like late Feb.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's all gone. I've lost it all. And it doesn't need to be that way, man. That's our message.
It's usually Christmas or cruises. Like, when people go on boats for holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back all fucked up. Waddling around.
Fuck, I couldn't imagine anything worse, I don't think.
Yeah.
Not the waddling around, but being stuck on a boat.
Yeah.
Buffets and shit.
Yeah, nasty.
The waddling's scary.
The waddling's not nice.
No.
I guess the thing is for us, right, that we kind of, like, it seems like a bit of a... It's funny because you understand it when an individual comes to you on this and they, you haven't seen them for maybe part of December and then you haven't seen them for part of Jan. They come back into the gym and they're, they tell you they've put weight on and they've lost some strength gains and gotten a bit tight. And you kind of feel for them because you get it. You're like, yeah, you got to have a break over Christmas. You got to enjoy yourself and whatever. So in that one-to-one conversation, you're like, yeah, man, I get it. It's cool. Just get back on that horse. Let's, reignite the training flame and whatever. But when you have that conversation with like 150 people, you start to think like, fuck, guys, come on, there's got to be a better way.
That's right. So that's why we've got a list. We've got a list on how to mitigate the damage that you give to yourself over Christmas, but also how you can continue to make a little bit of gains while you're enjoying yourself too. So should we start with our number one?
Fuck yeah.
Number one, and I think this is probably deserves to be at the top of this list. It's mindful consumption. Mindful consumption. Yeah.
Well, mindful consumption. We're talking about the basic piece of just being aware of what you're consuming. So you're eating a lot, you're drinking a lot. Having some awareness around that. It doesn't mean you're avoiding things. It just means you're keeping a track of it. You're looking at what you're having and you're making a mindful decision, right?
That's right.
Give me some examples there. Where do people, where would it be easy to fuck this up? And we can speak from personal experience, right?
The first two that comes to mind is looking at quantity and quality, basically. So no one's saying don't have fun over Christmas. We need the rest to recover well. No one's saying don't eat good food, but just look
Shit
at
food.
don't eat shit food. Like, you don't have to eat shit food to have a good time. The whole American burger scene and the hot dogs and the cool fries and the curly, nostalgic 50s stuff, it's like all over Sydney. And I don't know how it became so popular, but it's fun sometimes. But, like, come on, you don't have to eat shit all the time. So there's plenty of good food out there. Buy some good produce, cook some awesome meals now that you have the time to. Spend some time to cook meals at home. So that's, a little bit on quality. And then quantity is just keeping a mindful eye on how much you're consuming. And I think in that kind of practice alone of just watching what you're, or kind of just, being aware of how much you're having, you're already going to try to taper that in a little bit just because you're taking a bit of thought towards it.
And there's a lot of times you're not even at your own home. You could be at a family member's home, or you have a selection of food, and it comes down to the ratios. So what are you going to put on your plate?
Yeah.
How quickly you're going to eat it? Are you present while you're eating? Are you thinking about the food going into your body? Are you just having a laugh and not even thinking about the food going in? And then you go for seconds, and then you go for cake straight after, and before you know it, you're lying on the couch, and you're like, oh, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
You've got the sweats, and this is when you're not
Merry
paying
Christmas.
attention. Yeah. So
You gave yourself a present.
you think about your ratios, and you still have the cake, but you might have a little less than what your eyes are telling you want, and you have a little bit more salad and a little bit more of your greens and your veggies, and you ratio your food out properly, you know. Then you don't want to be starving yourself or restricting yourself from enjoying all the little morsels, but it's very, very important that you're aware of what's going in your mouth. The other thing that you want to be aware of, all those little snacky things in between.
Yeah.
They're the things that fuck you over. Like when your auntie brings over a big bag of shortbread.
They're sitting there on the
I
table
love
eating
that,
between meals.
Yeah.
She's your big buttery auntie.
Yes.
You got nothing
Yeah.
on that afternoon.
Yeah.
Let's make a
Big
cup of
bosom
tea.
auntie.
Put a dent in this plate. But
Yeah. Yeah, they're dangerous. So all those little morsels in between, danger zone.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Grab a piece of fruit.
I mean, the thing, I think, like the thing that's really interesting with like sweets and stuff, because anyone that knows us knows that we're not against eating sugar and we're not against eating cakes and having some alcohol and all those things in moderation or with some kind of awareness behind it. But fuck, it's really easy to. I'll give you a good example. I've been working with a girl over the last couple of months on her nutrition programming, and she came to me and was like, I have a really bad problem with my sweet tooth. And I was like, all right, well, let's find out how bad it is. So I got her to detail like what her binges look like. And she has these big sugar binges where she'll come home from work, training, whatever, and she'll have some dinner and then she'll just smash a bunch of sugar. So I was like, all right, tell me what you're having. So like a couple of examples where she'll have take a packet of like Maltesers, she'll have 3 packets. Or take like some Krispy Kreme donuts, she'll have 12 donuts, right? Oh. And she's not a big girl, right? You wouldn't even know that this girl could consume such quantities of food. Mm-hmm. So all I did was like, okay, and she was freaking out. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to quit the sugar and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you don't have to quit it, but let's just look at the difference between 12 donuts and 3 donuts. And I'm like, if you eat 12 donuts, that's like 1,500 calories. That's like half of my daily food quota for me, like a 90-kilo male. It was almost all of her daily food quota. I'm like, if you have 3, it's still shit, but it's like 25% is shit, which means that like that's a huge improvement, right? And that leaves, if we're talking calorically, yeah, okay, you're eating a lot of refined sugars and stuff, and there's gluten in there, but still, it allows you some room to eat other stuff throughout the day, and you're probably not going to gain any weight from it. So like there's a difference between just letting the reins go completely and almost pushing yourself further into the binge than you even want to, rather than like, I'll have a little bit of shortbread, I'll have a little bit of like whatever the dessert is after dinner or something, and still stay within a range that is like, it's human, like it's normal, and it's not going to completely bring you undone.
Yeah, and I think knowing when to give you like those little breaks in between, and the mindfulness is like, okay, analyze yourself. You've just had a big plate of food or a little plate or a little snack. Give it a couple of minutes. Am I still hungry? Am I good? If you're good, then just stop there.
Yeah.
Rest. You'll feel better for it, and then in 2 hours' time, maybe you want to have another little slice of cake, but generally it takes a bit of time for your body to recognize how much food's in it, and you'll find that after that, you'll give yourself some time, you're like, okay, I'm not going to eat anymore. I've had enough,
Yeah, just thinking about it, right? How am I actually feeling?
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
What about alcohol?
Booze is a tricky one over Christmas. Usually around a lot of people that you haven't seen for a while. Some of them you don't want to see. It can be emotional, So you mix a bit of alcohol in there. And
must have the courage to go and punch them in the face.
Well, that's right. Yeah, or call them something that you don't want to call, that you wanted to call them for all year. But I think it breaks the ice having booze, and it's also a very big part of Australian social culture. But
it's not that big, mate.
I got it fucking puts on the fat.
Yeah,
and that's the bottom line. Booze gets you fat, and here's another little piece of information for especially for the men out there. Your low carb beer, it's not fucking that. It's not the carbs in beer that make you fat. It's fucking alcohol. It all does the same thing. So all beer is low carb if you have a look at it. But the alcohol content in that drink is what puts on the weight. So if you are trying to fool yourself into thinking that having six beers of low carb beer is going to make any difference to a standard beer, yeah, you got another thing coming.
Fat boy.
Yeah. Stuff's going to pack it on.
It's true.
Yeah.
If you are going to have beers, choose good beers. Choose, microbrewed beers, or you don't want the cheapest beer
You don't want the stuff you
on
can
the
chug
shelf,
through.
with all the chemicals in it, right?
You don't. The
Australiana ones.
The boutique stuff's still going to pack it on.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's probably going to
Yeah.
pack it on more actually, if we're looking at energy, per
Fills you
bottle,
up. Fills you
because
up
they're denser, heavier beers. They usually got a higher alcohol percentage.
Okay.
They're more flavorful, so there's more substance to them.
But because of that, you almost don't drink as many.
Well, that's a great point.
Yes.
That was why originally the Belgian beers that were brewed in monasteries by the monks, that's why they're so heavy and so high in alcohol, is because they were a lot of them were restricted to one beer a day. So that was part of their religion. So it was like, all right, if we're going to have one beer, it's going to be a fucking
one.
punch beer. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be sick. So they made the beers real heavy and strong. So yeah, I think you're right. If you're drinking something that's better quality, that costs you a little bit more, that you're going to savor a little bit more rather than just pound, because like everyone's sucking down pure blondes.
That's the words. I think savouring something it's a higher quality. I do the exact thing on the weekend. It was my sister's birthday. We went away camping, and I bought a case of beer.
Happy birthday, Betty.
Happy
For the
birthday,
other
Betty.
week.
Birthday.
Yeah, I bought a case of beer. I think the last time I bought like a whole case of beer was last New Year's, and I bought the same case.
Just finishing it off. The last one probably
No,
100 weeks
no.
ago. Yeah.
And that is shout out to the beer, 3 Sheets, Lord Nelson, so good.
Nice.
Motherfucker cost $80.
Ooh.
But I was there and I was looking at the cheap beers and I was like, I don't have a great deal of money. And then I thought, I've just got to get the good beer. It tastes great. I'm really going to enjoy it. Every time I have one, I open it up and I'm enjoying the beer. And it's the type of beer you're not going to walk away from and leave a quarter of it getting warm and then you forget about.
Yeah.
It's
Mindful
such a
drink.
good beer. I drink the whole thing, and I came home with a 6-pack. I shared them around and savouring something, getting something
that?
better quality. What's
Get
that?
Lord Nelson and
And
build
get a
yourself some
6-pack.
abs.
I got a 6-pack out of it.
You'll get black
Too
abs. But yeah, that's true. Like I know, so from me, every Christmas, I go hang out with my family up at mum and dad's place, and it's always like, fuck, I don't know, 1 o'clock or something. Mum's like, oh, should we have a little drink? And then and then my sister's like, yeah, and then everyone's having a drink, and usually maybe on one of the days, because I'm usually there for maybe 3 or 4 days. One of the days I'm like, yeah, go on, I'll have a drink. And because I don't drink that much, I have a drink and then I feel like dog shit. And the rest of the afternoon, I'm really tired and lethargic and often get a little bit grouchy. And it's like, why did I have that fucking drink? But I've also noticed, like on Christmas Day, the same thing will happen and everyone will have a drink. And then because you've had one drink, once you finish that, you just have another drink. And then by the time it's like 5 o'clock, you've had, whatever, however fast you drink, you've had a few or you've had half a dozen. But you probably didn't want all of those drinks. You didn't want them at all. It's just because you started and then that's what everyone was doing and then you kept going, So I think like now, in recent years, I'm able to just go, nah, guys, I'm good. I'm going to go do some handstands at Savo. So I'd rather like have a coffee right now and then maybe tonight with dinner I'll have a drink. I kind of delay it, which means I consume about like a quarter of, or a fifth of the alcohol that everyone else is. And it suits me better and I feel better about it. But I could just as easily slip into it and feel like shit, but keep drinking anyway. And I think a lot of people do that because, like you said, culturally, it's a big part of, this nation. You just drink because that's what's happening. It's not necessarily, you didn't necessarily want to, I don't believe.
Yeah, and then the same thing happens with the food. You
Yep.
know, it just keeps coming out. You just keep eating it. A little bowl of chips over there, some nuts, stuff that's never fucking usually lying around the house.
Pig on
That
a
you,
spit.
and even if it was, you would be like, I'm not going to eat that right now. Just because of the fact that it's Christmas. Like, it's Christmas. You know?
Go on, mate, have some
No,
nuts.
it's going to feel like shit.
It's tough. It's tough the
Like
drinking
shit on
thing.
holidays.
Like when I think about the younger crowd, early 20s and whatnot, just because it's more tied into their social scene over Christmas, and it's kind of a little easier for us to say over 30 and stuff, being a lot more self-aware and settled into who we are. think a lot of drinking and smoking for young people comes with the anxiety of just trying to hang around people and be cool.
Yeah.
So they're going to drink. I think some of the other points that we got coming up is going to help them kind of mitigate that anyway.
Yeah.
Just choosing their moments. And
I would agree.
You know.
And the other thing too, like talking to that age group though, it's
Yeah.
also like, probably need to go through a bit of that.
yeah.
Need to
yeah,
have some
yeah,
drinks and drink
yeah.
a bit too much, and they've fucking got the high metabolism. Most of them.
Yeah.
So you'd say eat healthy, try and pick some healthy options, you know.
Yeah.
Look at your quantities, look at the ratios of your healthy options to the shitty stuff. So the high calorie stuff, just have a little bit less, but don't starve yourself of it. And if you're going to have a drink, then just do it in moderation and choose something with a bit of quality behind it.
Yeah.
Try not to get sucked into the binge.
I got one extra tip on the food front is eat plenty of protein over Christmas.
Yeah.
Because like you get up a bit later, you're fucking around. Maybe someone's making, I don't know what they're making, toasted sandwiches, or someone's like, well, let's make pancakes, like some weird shit that you never normally have at home. And you end up eating a meal, and then it's like you're eating this high carbohydrate stuff, and you're like, hang on a second, it's like 2 p.m, I haven't actually had any proper food. Whereas if you get up in the morning and you have a couple of eggs and you have some sliced ham or whatever, you get a good serving of protein in, you're setting your metabolism right, you feel satiated, you're less inclined to snack for the next few hours, and you've nourished the body.
Yeah, that's a good call. Just to keep a little bit of that regularity in your day.
Yeah.
And when lunchtime does come or dinner, you're less likely to just binge,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, because you haven't been starved all day.
Yeah. And it seems like the right thing to do because you're like, oh, tonight's going to be like feast. So I'm just going to hold back.
Yeah.
I've done it heaps of times myself, And plus you got heaps of shit going on and you run around like a twit and all that kind of stuff. And then dinner comes and then you just gorge and then you feel like shit. And that's a trap. Got to watch that one.
Fuck yeah. I like it. Point number 2, rule number 2. Putting your training onto maintenance mode.
Yeah, so I guess the idea of this is to look, some people power through Christmas. It's probably a very tiny percentage of the population, and usually that kind of person is a little bit addicted. So whether you'd look at that as a healthy thing or not, so it's a personal thing. But
We'll do another podcast for those people.
Yep. So junkies. But most of us tend to switch off the training altogether. So if we look at the training as an on-off switch, or eating as an on-off switch, we want to switch the idea of the on-off switch to more of a volume control. So we're looking at just turning the volume down a little, but never turning it off. Yeah. What do you do when you're coming into Christmas break? I know you've got a little routine. I got one myself. Do you run us through it?
I usually, so it's cool, man. I've noticed over the years that, I think it's built into a lot of us. We're kind of inherently lazy, right? So if I'm hanging out at my parents' place, I can kind of just hang out inside all day and jump in the water, have a swim, whatever, but kind of not really do any training. And I noticed that I feel really comfortable to do that for like a day or two. And I think that my body needs that because here we're kind of working 12 plus hours a day, training a bunch, you need that rest. But after about the third day, I start to feel like shit. And I start to feel like a bit of a slob because I'm just sitting around the house, food's coming at me, drinks coming at me, I'm getting involved. I'm not earning it in any way. So what I do now is I try to just make some time either sort of earlier in the day before it gets really hot or later in the afternoon when the sun's dropped off a little bit, where I'll just do some practice. But I generally don't make it like a training session. I'll just hang my rings up and I'll fuck around with some skills, some stuff that I've been working on, and maybe do a few sets of some strength work, some pull-ups or some dips or something. Or I'll go out onto this flat piece of concrete and I'll do some handstands and stretch for a little bit. And usually some kid will walk over and start wanting to do handstands with me, and I'll end up, because my parents run this little holiday place, so I'll end up handstanding with some kids or whatever. So it's not really a session, but I'm just fucking around, and I'm outside and I'm working, I'm using the body a little bit, and it's maybe 60 to 90 minutes, and that's it. And I guess so I try to just have one of those experiences every day, and it serves me well. It's not hard training, doesn't make me sore, but it just gives me enough to play with some of the things that I've been developing over the year, and also feel like I want to eat the next meal again and like I've deserved it.
Well, it's simple calories in, calories out, isn't it? So if you're increasing your calorie intake, which is generally going to happen over Christmas, and you're decreasing the amount that you're actually consuming, then it's going to put on,
Yeah.
But it's also harder for the body to digest all that extra food if you're not actually moving. The body's like a big pump. So you need these things to be operating to not just feel better, but for your body to be functioning better, And I have this conversation a lot where people, I do the same thing, but I do a morning session. So I get up early and get it done because I want to get it out of the way before the kids get up. Then I can spend the rest of the time with my kids. And if I know I've got training on that day, it sits in the back of my head and I'm thinking about it, and I don't want to think about it. I want to give all my attention to my family. And I also want to have, yummy lunch and that kind of stuff. And I know if I do any of that and I have a beer later in the afternoon, I'm not going to train, you know? So for me, I get it done early, and then every now and then you'll get someone that's like, why do you fucking train?
Can't you just take a rest?
Christmas, like, have a break. And it's like, well...
You're such a freak.
Why? You just feel like shit if you don't. You know what I mean? Like, if something's going to make you feel good, then... And make you feel good when you're on holidays, but that's a great thing. Like, why would you not sacrifice 45 minutes to an hour so you can enjoy the next 24 hours even more? And if you are still training well, and you can get away with eating a little bit more, and you don't have to go through those lethargic kind of pits and big peaks and troughs,
Yeah.
Just level things out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's part of just expressing your humanness as well, right? And it's like that. It's why you feel good after you train. You've done some work, and your body's designed to do some work. And if you go enough days without doing any, you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
And then it's usually like, it's funny. It kind of reminds me of like the thing about alcohol and the thing about eating sweets. That mentality, like when, people will say this to me, is the same as you guys would get. Oh, I bet you train all the time over Christmas. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I do a little bit of something. And then they're like, can't you just relax? Like, can't you just like enjoy the holidays? You have to be such a, and I'm the same thing. It's like, no, I actually enjoy it. Like it helps me. But I think for a lot of people, because they have a negative attachment to exercise.
Guilt.
Yeah, that it's like a punishment.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, over Christmas, I don't want to punish myself because that's my time. I don't need, and it's like, well, I'm not going to punish myself, so I'm going to have 16 drinks tonight. And I'm not going to punish myself, so I'm going to have 14 serves of dessert. It's almost like they throw the pendulum back as far as they can as a way to, counteract the abstinence or, part abstinence that they've tried to maintain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, I think on the holidays, like I don't have any strict, like I don't do training as such. But it's more of the basic do something every day mentality. Probably looks a little something like how Joe described. And for me, it's a lot to do with like my family. My holiday time is family. So I'm trying to do something with them, whether it's trying to keep active, trying to go to the beach. When I'm there, it's playing games, it's wrestling, it's throwing them around. I think that's going to tie into another point that we have here coming up next. But yeah, for me, it's just, it's what I enjoy to do, as you said, as T said. And a note on the holiday thing and training then, like the one thing I try to do on holidays is catch up on sleep. I try to rest my body and I sleep where I can, and I think my body knows it. Like when we used to be in the film industry and you finish a film and you like sleep for like 2 weeks. Body kind of like knows it's time for resting, and your mental's kind of let go of a certain kind of thing that you've been fighting for some time. So a lot of rest. But what happens with me is I get into it a few days, my body feels good, and it feels almost better than it does a lot of the year.
Yeah.
And I want to play around and I want to do stuff. So I'll, like for instance, I think we went to Karawang last year. after the first few days of resting, I wake up in the morning like bouncing out of bed. So I always want to do something, and it's usually play. It's usually play for me, with the kids, handstands,
Nothing
whatever.
too structured.
Nothing too structured, but I'll do something, and I like it because it's body weight and it's outside, and just the nature of how stuff works out. Being in the gym and stuff, we train in the gym a lot, but I love training outside.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's great.
Yeah,
I like I like doing that also, but I do enjoy getting that time to myself.
yeah,
Like getting up early before anyone's up and just getting something done. For me, it feels like it seems a little bit selfish,
Little
but
win.
yeah, it just allows me to. I've given myself time, given my body some time, and then the rest of the day I can dedicate to everyone else around me. It's a bit of a mental thing, but yeah, I feel like I'm much better off when I make that time for myself, and I think that comes into like structuring out your holiday a little bit and saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get up at 7 a.m. and I'm going to do this, and you've got it there.
yeah.
You don't have to think about it, and you just fucking, you might set an alarm and you just get out of bed and you walk out the back and you spend the next hour just pacing yourself through something, and then it's done,
Yeah.
and you feel great for it.
Yeah, you feel fucking awesome.
But
I think
making that time is important.
You take a photo of yourself and post that shit on Instagram.
Yeah,
Fuck
on
you guys,
holiday
look at me.
Make everyone feel
How
fucking...
you all feeling?
I think I'm going to adopt a bit of that this year, given the kids are growing up, and I find like you can't always tailor the day towards something that might be of advantageous to my physical development, because a lot of the time they don't want to go to the beach and stuff. They want to chill out. They want to play games, and I can't always make it work. So I think I'll be doing a bit of that when we go, like getting up early.
Yeah.
So then I don't feel like I'm trying to sway them, and I get a bit frustrated. Like, just go down there. As if you don't want to play, go outside. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's good. It's a really easy way to get it out of the way. But I think again, it's making that time and having that little bit of structure there just to keep everything anchored.
Yeah. And I like what you mentioned before we started recording too about it it's not heavy sessions. You're not pushing for mad gains. You're just working on like some easy stuff and just going like pacing yourself.
Full range. And
Yeah, like I know, like say if I'm thinking about what I usually do, I usually I'll do a bunch of push-ups and I'll do a bunch of dips on the rings, which I hang from this rafter in Dad's garage. I might do some single leg squats. I'll do some Cossack squats, maybe some muscle ups or whatever. But stuff for me that's not really maximal, just reps, just get some reps in, get a bit of a sweat on. Maybe mum comes out and has a chat, in between breaks, whatever. I make her do some eccentric chin-ups or something. It's kind of nice just to back it off and
shout out Wendy.
Shout out Wen.
Well, it happens too. Start creating a little bit of a culture. I know it's happened. It's in my family when my sister always jumps in with me, my wife, and every now and then I can sway my mum in to having a little play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's true, right? People want that same feeling,
yeah,
and they see you and they're like,
Yes.
what are you doing?
yeah.
So true.
That feeling that you get when you're watching people dance.
Yeah, I don't get that. I'm usually the one dancing, that's why. That's not true, I'm white.
Get the head nods on though.
Okay, yeah,
Some
a bit of a big guy shuffle. Should we go to our third rule, which kind of ties in that last one a bit, but make time to train.
Yeah.
Which pretty straightforward, right? But if you kind of like, it makes more, when I look at you guys, you got kids and stuff, it's even more important that you block that time out because the time will just get gobbled up by the fam otherwise.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I think further to what I'm realizing now listening to T is, I need to just anticipate more and look at the day ahead. And if there's what are we doing tomorrow? Oh, we're doing this, and it does, and I can see it. Yeah, deadlifts with the kid. Great, babe. If I see it going in that direction, then I should recognize that and be like, okay, I'll get up in the morning. Like, we're going to go camping. And actually we'll be very, we'll be close with a family and their kids, and there's like once you wake up, you're going to be all together. So you're together straight from the get go. So I think, getting up a little earlier and getting it done, is probably a better idea. And I reckon that I'll end up, roping my mate. He's one of my old mates from school. He'll be keen on getting a bit of that, playing around as well. But making time to train, anticipating the day ahead, I guess, or the days coming. Making a little plan for myself.
Yeah, have a little schedule.
A little schedule.
I do a lot of running when I'm on holidays.
You run that hill, don't you?
Only time I run. I don't run any other time.
Remember you posted a couple of years ago with Willie?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my favourite hill at my mum's house.
Yeah.
It's like a detoxing purgery hill.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Sweats out all the demons and then come back and fill the body up full more.
Can I side note?
Yeah.
Lucas is after you, Joe. Lucas.
Oh, I know.
Luca.
I know.
He's after you big time.
I know. He wants me on this flab incineration.
He wants the program, for those out there, the program in our gym around Christmas time. There's a phase called the flab incineration.
It's called flab incineration cycle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe's creation. It's lots of fun. And yeah, there's a lot of hard work. There's a bit of running in there.
Guaranteed to burn the flab.
Guaranteed. Or your money back. So yeah, he wants us to get in on it.
I know.
He's like, we need the coaches session.
I'm going to
I was like,
grind
I'm
him.
down.
I'm going to crush his soul when I come and fucking train next to him.
Run past him.
Crush his soul.
Was
the guy will, look, I'll go, all right, let me lay it down, right? The guy's going to fucking beat me on the shit that requires like light body weight and high cardio. So if we go around doing like runs around the block and burpees, he'll probably get me. But any strength work, I've got his number.
I reckon you get him on both.
You got the secret weapon.
Youth?
No, the control of the program.
Ish. Yeah, it's true. That's a good, yeah. Put like a 5-minute grappling round in the middle of this.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's true. But the making time to train thing is really interesting because you're not fucking working, so you've got more time.
That's
like
it.
you actually really have a lot more control over your
so
schedule
true.
over this period than any other time of the year. So, you're like if you're not able to make the time, you're full of shit. It's really just about making that prioritizing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about the meal thing. Like you've got more time, and far out. Like meals is the funnest shit in my opinion. You're planning the meals. It's something to get excited about. Like you're on holidays and you're lying around like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to eat at night? Like, get excited about some meals that you never get to cook during the year and have fun going and doing the shopping for it. And yeah, cook it up. Bring some friends around.
Yeah.
Invite us over.
Make time to train. Make time to meal prep.
Meal prep, yeah.
And stay away from like if you're going to prep sweets, then make them,
Yeah.
Rather
That's
than
cool,
just
yeah.
buying big bags of chips and fucking chocolate and shit that's just accessible.
It's a great one, T.
Because then at least you appreciate it. It's going to have a little bit of a healthy kick to it, if you adapt the recipe a little. You appreciate it, just like the good quality beer,
Yeah, you invest in the process and you value it more.
Yeah, and you're more mindful when you're consuming it.
Yeah, I like that. Fourth rule: get outside into nature.
Yeah. So there's lots of benefits from getting into nature. Like obviously for your mindset, for if you're doing it with your family, just for bonding time, but it's just another form of movement as well. So you're walking on uneven surfaces, you're traveling some distance, you're consuming more calories.
Getting a bit of sun.
Take your shoes off, for God's sake.
Yes.
Fuck.
Please take them off.
Wear some relaxed fitting clothing.
Oh,
Don't be
please.
going out in your fucking tight shirts and your little
Jeans for a
stiff
little
chino
bushwalk.
shorts. Yeah, jeans
Get out
on
of
a
here.
bushwalk.
Get out of here.
Express yourself.
Yeah.
Get naked.
Getting butt
You
naked.
can.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, you should wear loose clothing on holidays. Yeah, if you're going outdoors somewhere, I know a certain someone who I know doesn't always wear loose clothing. Someone that I'm in a close relationship with. It's just like being prepared because especially when you're with kids, and you go out, you don't know. Like when you're going out on adventure days, you don't know whether the trip to the museum is going to end up down at the water park and everyone's getting wet. maybe it's my film industry background, but I always have, like when we go out on adventure days, I always like just grab a pair of shorts, or I mean shorts, but I always grab like a spare pair of shoes or something. I've always got like something else back up to go in, and I think that's
Tuxedo.
always tux. just in case. Appropriate clothing. Wear appropriate clothing, ready to freaking do something cool.
Get out there.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
Yeah.
Get a bit of sun,
Yeah.
slip, slap, and all that. But god damn it, man, get outside.
Take some clothes off.
Yeah, get out. Get off the couch.
Swim. I got to say, man, if you're lucky enough, get in the water first thing in the morning. I find that I'm pretty fortunate
Best.
with mum and dad's place, right? They're on the water there, but you can jump in they're on pit water, so you get to jump off the wharf and stuff. But yeah, if you can like get over to the beach or something, or just like get wet first thing, fuck, feels so good.
I'll jump in Hen and Chicken Bay, Canada Bay.
Canada Bay,
Maybe
hen and
not.
chicken.
Hen and Chicken, you know, on the backside of Five Dock?
No.
Canada Bay. That's what it's called.
Can you swim in
Why
there?
is it called that?
No, you can't swim in
Don't
there. That's
swim
what I'm
in there.
saying. No, you don't.
That's where I busted up my head when I was a kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just at the back of Bardwell Park Golf Course. I think it's called Hen and Chicken Bay.
Hen and Chicken Bay.
A lot of factories and stuff there. Maybe it's because they used to chop the
Is
heads
it a
off hen and chickens
I thought
and
a
just
hen
push
is
them
a
in it.
chicken.
I don't know, bro.
I try to answer this.
Isn't it a female chicken?
Yeah, it's a female
No,
chicken.
I think a hen is a chicken that lays eggs for our produce. I
Right.
think that's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
It's a chick. Yeah.
So what's the
Don't
chicken?
quote me on this, people.
Yeah, like a female chicken.
It's a chicken that it's the same thing, but its role in life is to lay eggs for produce for us. It's just a chicken that lays eggs.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, right on. The breakfast.
All of our listeners are texting in right now.
Guys, please, one at a time.
Stop.
But I think it's cool, like, yeah, in the nature side of things, like play and explore and use the place around you. Like, that's great. Every time you go to your mum's place, T, you run up the hill. You don't run in Sydney, right? When you're back here, you don't really have a hill near at the back of your place, but you're utilizing what's there, and that's a nice thing in itself that you're using the local terrain.
Yeah, that's right. Keeps you stimulated. Give
Yep.
you a little bit of some change, you know, and that's all part of going on holiday. You know, exploring. We generally, if any area we get into, we go to at least 1 or 2 national parks.
Right.
Yeah, always with the kids, and they just love it, you know. But I love it too because it gets you, like I said before, it gets you moving, it gets you stimulated, it gets you nice fresh oxygen, gets the body working, helps you digest, all that kind of stuff, and it gets you off the couch. I think one of the most dangerous, and I see it all the time, you go to places, friends' places, family members, and fucking sport where people just sit on the couch
Cricket,
the
man.
whole day,
Fuck.
watching fucking
Go the
box.
Aussies.
Oh.
Stop.
Destroying
Turn it
India
off.
yesterday.
Just watch the highlights. You know? Read the
Or
paper.
watch a real fucking sport like UFC. I'm only kidding.
It's good
I
for
hate cricket. Fuck, I hate cricket.
I'm going to defend ball sports.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to.
You're a Renaissance man. You've got everything.
No, but I do.
5
I
days
do
though,
only
bro,
watch.
5
No, I
days.
don't watch
too much.
jack all, but I
It's
do
almost
keep in
like an
contact.
excuse to just sit on the couch.
It is a bit,
Oh, shit.
Oh no.
Oh, shit. We got interference, guys. Guys, don't stop listening.
Hello, we're back after a brief technical intermission.
Hey.
Where are we on our list?
I think we're just wrapping up point 4. Get outside into the nature.
Into the nature.
Brings us to point 5. Share it with your fam.
That's right.
And friends, I guess we could extend that too.
Yeah, that's right. Friends can be involved. Tell me about that.
Oh, I touched on it before. Yeah.
I think if you look at all 4 points, we're looking at creating a little bit of a culture, you know,
A Jungle Brothers culture right in your very own home.
in your own home. You know, if everyone's eating mindfully, still having a good time, drinking quality beer, they're all doing a little bit of training maintenance, they're all making a little bit of time for themselves, you know, whether it's a bit of meditation or a yoga session or whatever it is. There might be 2 of you that peel off while the other ones look after the kids. If everyone's getting out into nature together, it's very easy for you to attain or have this kind of ritual that takes place. You're not fighting against a storm, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You're not going against the grain.
And you don't want to, yeah, I mean,
You're not being the fucking loser in your family that just wants to exercise all the time.
Yeah.
you're the cool guy now who wants to exercise a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And be a little bit mindful and look after themselves and share it with everyone. Yeah, I think
Could
it's...
backfire though.
It's how?
Well, you know, you start preaching and everyone's like, "Shut the fuck." Oh man, I just want to rest.
No. Yeah, well, look, yeah, it's the whole lead by example type thing. Like you start doing it, you start making those conscious choices subtly here and there, and you're not preaching. Hopefully, it carries on. And yeah, I think it's totally a cool thing to be that person in your family, because everyone at the end of the day, well, no matter what they say, I guarantee they respect it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And you want to be that catalyst in the fam that's like, oh,
And you know who
take a bit of the flack, and then they'll, changes will start to come.
Yeah, and the ones that are the most observant are the kids. Kids
Yes.
watch adults do everything.
Yes,
And if they see you having fun and full of energy and enjoying yourselves,
correct.
guess what they're going to do? You know?
Damn
Yeah.
straight.
They're going to look at the one that's sitting on the couch feeling like shit, and they're going to be like, I don't think I want to be like that. But if that's the only option they've got, they're like, well, that's all we've got to do, then I'll just do it. But then they're seeing someone outside having a play, and they're looking like they're having fun, and they're full of energy. I will fucking bet my life they'll be out there doing the same thing. And let's face it, we want to set a good example for that next generation.
For the children's.
For the children. What I heard someone saw it somewhere. Someone put it. The kids never do what you say, but they always do what you do,
That's right.
good or bad.
Yeah.
It's a really nice way to put it.
Yeah, it's good. It's so true. It's kind of. I mean, I notice it with my my cousins who have all got kids now. My brother, who's got his little girl. But it's like you see the family members who are like, some really push forward on that charge. All right, kids, we're going to play soccer. Come on, everyone, playing soccer. Come on, everyone, guys, we're going over here. And people are like, I don't want to fucking play soccer. Come on, guys, we're going to play soccer. And then it's like, all right, fuck, everyone's playing soccer. But it's mad, and they're driving that, and they're kind of choosing to become annoying and like fall on their sword in a way for the greater good of the group.
Yeah.
Which they're mostly concerned about the kids, because if they don't run them around, the kids are going to be a fucking mess that night and whatever. But I really appreciate that, because I'm often like, I don't want to play soccer, I want to do some handstands, and then I'm like, all right, I'll come play some soccer, and then I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I played soccer today.
Yeah.
Like it is really nice, and then mixing it up, like sharing it with them, like playing around, having that exchange, a physical exchange, not just sitting around a table eating and drinking together. I think that's really nice. I think that's really human.
Great way to bond.
Yeah,
All of those points are a great way to bond.
yeah,
Mindful eating, little bit of training, time in nature, best ways to bond.
Positive ways to bond.
Yeah. Some play, lots of play.
yeah. That's right. And I guess, our whole thing is like, you should be able to enjoy yourself and do what you want, but you also shouldn't come back to whatever it is, your gym or your practice, your training, after the break and feel like you've lost everything.
Yeah.
You should just come back and feel like you're ready to start again, and you're kind of picking up where you left off.
That's right.
And the body feels good and healthy and well rested.
Instead of having to rely on that New Year's resolution to fix everything.
Yeah, fuck that. Don't get in the cycle, man.
That's what we'll be
BS.
talking about on our next podcast.
How to set a real New Year's resolution. Do you guys do them? I don't do
The
them.
New Year's fallacy.
Oh.
That's what it is.
I don't, not New
How to
Year's
set
resolution.
yourself up
no.
to failure. Yourself a New Year's
Get fit
resolution.
2019.
I've
Start with a little
been
challenge.
setting my BJJ blue belt as a New Year's resolution for the last 10 years.
Oh,
yeah, yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
You sure you haven't been
totally
setting
true.
it for every other BJJ
Every-
guy out there? Dudes are just turning up. Holy shit, I got given a blue belt today for no reason. I absolutely don't know why.
It's magic.
T's been willing it.
But before that podcast,
A point I wanted to make was, we were talking about this, was to choose a start date and stick to it. Like, you don't have to be rigid in how you're managing holidays, but look at your calendar and look at when you're going to be away over Christmas, when you're coming back to work, when you're going to be in Sydney, when you're going to be away, blah, blah, blah. And have an idea of, okay, well, on I'm coming back on the 5th, so I'm going to give myself a day to sort shit out, and on the 6th or the 7th, I'm going to come back in and start training again and start my food prep and go back into my routine. As opposed to, I'm going to roll reluctantly back into the year, have a fucking shambles of a January, shambles of a half of February, and then finally come back to the gym midway through Feb, finally start grocery shopping again at the end of Feb, by which point you've just thrown away 3 months, which is a quarter of the year, which is a fucking long time when you put it in that perspective. You could easily have a bit of a plan, make December and January really restful but also productive months, and then go into the next year continuing to make progress on all the hard work you've been doing in the year before.
If you look at anyone in any gym, anywhere in the world that's making progress, that they have a similar approach to what we've just run you through.
It's true.
You
They
know?
don't stop, right? Like they
Never stop.
They don't cancel it out for a while because it's not a punishment. It's a lifestyle thing. And just while we're here, I'm going to tell everybody that, we've got New Year's Day. New Year's Eve is Monday, the 31st. So the gym is open at full hours again from the 7th of January. So I would expect that you would be back in the gym no later than that period if you're in Sydney. However, the gym will be back open for reduced hours on the 3rd. So we'll be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday that week from, what did we say, 7 till 4:30, I think. So we're here. If you're around, we're here. And we're here for the 4 days in between Christmas and New Year's as well. 26, 27, 28, 29. 27,
28, 29, 30.
29, 30. We're open for those 4 days.
But I think the 30th is a Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well structured. But so you have a look at your calendar. Okay, cool. What am I actually doing? When am I going to get back into the swing of things? And fucking get back into the swing of things because you're going to be stoked that you did it. You're going to feel good and you're going to be making mad gains next year. I just know it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Paul, anything to add? Any final points from anyone?
Just wanted to say I've learned a lot from this podcast personally, and I'm sitting in the corner here quietly, scheming on how I'm gonna use my own holiday. Yeah, some of the nice points. I like the baking one. That's a good one, T. I don't know if you came up with that one on the fly, but eat as much sweets as you want this Christmas, kids.
Yeah,
It's got to make
Unless you
yourself.
make, you just got to make them.
You got to cut the wheat. You got to get a fucking stone grinder, grind that shit.
Yeah.
And then you
Cup
got
of sugar cane.
You got to fucking roll it. And you're going to bake it
yeah.
over coal fire, charcoal oven, pizza oven, and then you can eat it.
Yeah.
A morsel of it. That's it.
Before some larger apex predator comes and steals it from you.
Yeah. No. I think that we covered most of it.
You know, one last thing I like that we all do is hang up a pair of gymnastic rings wherever you're at, wherever your dwelling is.
Oh, yeah.
Put a pair of rings up in a tree or in the garage or something because they're just there. And if you got, or maybe you got a couple of kettlebells, pull a couple of kettlebells out.
Just have them lying
Or you got
around.
something. Yeah, if it's there, you're just going to go and fuck around with it. And then someone's going to come over and go, oh, what are you doing? And then you're going to go, oh, and you're going to teach them a thing. And then before you know it, you got a couple of Urellos, you're doing some training, everyone's having a good time, you're sharing it with fam, you're in nature, you're ticking all the boxes without even having, tried.
You can always have a good laugh at that one Relo that's just hurting the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then they're walking around like a cripple for the next 4 days.
Yeah.
Get on
My
the
favourite.
all the members out there, get on the Jungle Brothers app there and check out one of the WODs, one of the workouts, and just like put everyone through it.
They're all going to be
that holiday
Hey
coach.
guys, this is called flab incineration.
do it with me.
Call an ambulance.
You get that buttery aunt you're talking about. You bring her over and you're like,
Yeah. Hey,
jump
Daisy.
squats,
Yeah.
lunge squats.
Make him sign a waiver.
How about you, T?
No, that was it. That's it.
Good app, boys. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I would say though, because I think this is so useful. If you're listening to this and you're listening to it and it's like a podcast going in the car and you're driving up to Byron to be a hobo or a boho, or you're going somewhere away and you're listening like, this is sweet. These are some things I can actually work with here. Go and share it with a friend who you know is also going on holiday this time because, it's valuable. I'll share this episode for sure. I should share all of them. I think I do. But there's some useful stuff actually here for your Christmas. And in signing out, from the podcast, Joey's going to let you know a little bit more about how you can get in contact with us here.
Yeah, hit us up if you want to get in touch, junglebrothers.com, or email us straight up, info@junglebrothers.com. Check us out on the YouTube, on the Instagram, on the Facebook. We're all over it. We're posting heaps of cool shit. Yeah, stay in touch. And like Paulie said, if you like any of the stuff we're doing, please share it because it's good to get the word out. And yeah, keep spreading that JB culture.
All right, gang. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Have fun, kids.